record to cloud. There we go. Okay, so let's pretend I never said any of those things. We're going to start over. All right, so again, just wanted to thank all of you for attending today, our event, which is called Beyond the Title, What It Takes to Lead, with our wonderful guest speaker today, Grace Maishiro, who is the Director of Client Solutions at Apex Logistics International, and also an alumna, right? Get my my what's it my pronouns gender right? Alumna. Uh,
Okay.
all right. So, what we'll do is, we really want this to be more of a dialogue and not really just people sit back and they're just listening. But please feel free to participate. I don't believe it's going to be like a huge crowd joining us today, a really small audience. So I want you all to take advantage of this opportunity and to please feel free to ask questions. I'm going to start it off with just a few questions, but again, I really want this to be more of a dialogue. And, like I said, feel free to jump in. You can raise your hand if you want to say something. You can type something in the chat, or you can just open up your microphone and ask questions. And I think that may be the easiest since it's a smaller crowd. All right. So, and again, just want to thank Grace for joining us. Oh, and just so you know, I know classes for some people normally start at about 7 p.m. So I do not foresee this going beyond 6:45. I want to be respectful of people's times. And I'm sure also Grace probably wants to rest after work.
Oh
So,
no, I have a meeting at 6:30 actually. So
okay, so that means we'll probably finish before then, actually. Okay, so let's get right to it. Let's get right to it. All right, so um, when it comes to leadership, I'm gonna, like I said, open it up with some questions with Grace. So, Grace, one of the things that we would love to know is when it comes to stepping into leadership roles for you, can you tell us maybe just briefly a little bit about um, your role, how long you've been there at the
sure.
company?
Yeah. So I've been working in the logistics industry for almost 20 years almost. And I've
Mm.
been doing the custom entries, brokerage, classification, sales, uh, operation managers, and station managers, key account management, client solutions. So basically, this whole industry, I literally try every single positions, almost. And
Mm,
today, I'm the director for client solution, in
mm,
charge of the North America region. So my key role in Apex Logistics is to onboard all these global key accounts, such as Apple, HP, Tesla, Facebook, you name it. We take care of almost all this huge account, literally top 10% global companies. And
okay.
my team is in charge of all these integrations, project management, and SOPs, pretty much everything. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my role in Apex. I've been in
Yeah.
Apex for
20
14,
plus years?
no,
How many?
fifth, I think 2010, 14
Okay.
years.
14 years.
Yeah.
14 years. Okay, 14 years. Okay. All right. And before Apex Logistics, did you also hold leadership roles in companies prior to that?
Back to China when I was, back in China,
Mm,
my position was focusing on marketing and
okay.
advertisement. So I
Mm,
was the project manager there
okay.
in Ogilvy and Mesa. I guess it's the number one advertisement agency in the world. And
Mm,
I used to be the account representative for IBM and Rolex.
okay. Okay. All right. So definitely you're not a stranger to stepping into leadership roles. Okay, so thank you for sharing. One of the things that the students, what we would love to know is how long did it take for you to step into a significant leadership position? And do
Mhm.
you feel that the journey was easy for you?
It's not easy for sure. Especially, I think the main reason for me to be here today is also try to show, how I balance my life and work as a woman, right?
Hmm,
Most of the
hmm.
time we have to kind of take care of the kids, take care of the family. It's definitely not easy.
Yeah.
And it takes literally like I said, in Apex, it took me 14 years. When I came to US, I didn't go into the marketing industry. I changed completely my career path to logistics. It just
Mm,
by coincidence. My neighbor was doing logistics because back then I was 20 something, I didn't really know what I should do.
mm-hmm,
My neighbor said, "Hey, why don't you just come to my office try?" So that's just how I started logistics. I knew nothing about logistics. But when I start working, I start from scratch, right? From entry level, desk level. So start from desk level. I did the best I can, and then I managed my work well to prove myself and to show my capabilities of managing daily work. So gradually, the company sees my diligence, my talents. So they try to give me more responsibilities. The very important thing is in front of opportunity, like the company offer you something, never say,
mm-hmm,
even you think you're not ready.
mm,
Uh, Give you an example when the company offered me the station manager in LA.
mm-hmm,
That's a really big challenge for me because I handle import all the time before, never take care of export, and
mm-hmm,
never manage warehouse. I literally was clueless of how the warehouse people are doing back then.
okay,
But when the company offered me this opportunity, I was so hesitant to take that role. That's a so critical role because in Apex, station manager takes the key role to manage the P&L,
mm,
including sales, including operation from A to Z.
mm,
So, but when I look at that opportunity, I literally it took me like almost I think 3 days to think whether I should take that. But I was
okay,
thinking if I don't take it, I will stay here, in this current role, which I probably will get bored soon. But
mm-hmm,
if I take it, there'll be a lot of unpredictable challenges and
mm-hmm,
difficulties I would never see in my life. But
mm,
I told myself, hey, why don't I take it? I shouldn't say no, right? I never know if I don't do it. So
mm,
I took that role and I did 4 years. So far I did a great job. That's why I got promoted to the corporate. And
yeah,
without that 4 year solid knowledge and experience as a station manager, I wouldn't be able to handle my new role in corporate. So
mm,
that's why my suggestion is like, don't underestimate yourself, even something and you can predict or something you might not feel comfortable, just start learning, just start it, learn from the people, learn from the team, and then you will be expert one day.
mm. So did you feel that when you were offered the role, and I know you said you took about 3 days to think about it, did you
Mhm.
yourself feel that you were ready for that, qualified for that, or did you feel you were missing some skill sets anywhere for that role?
Back then, when the time I said yes to my boss, I didn't think I was qualified. I didn't
Mm,
think I was even ready, but I know I have to push myself to be ready. The reason it took me 3 days because back then I had two kids,
mm,
elementary school age. I think one was like about 7 or 8. One, the younger brother is like 4 or 5.
mm,
So I had to discuss with my husband because once I take that role, literally I might have longer working hours. I might even have to travel, right? All this stuff I have to consider. I have to discuss with my husband to make sure he understands that he will support me.
right, right. And I definitely want to touch on family and children at some point because I think that's really important.
Mhm.
One thing I did want to ask as well is, with you being in a leadership role for a while, I do know that you received your MBA, and
Yes.
all of our students here are graduate level students. What, do you feel that the MBA made a difference? What made you decide to go for your MBA, and did it make a difference in your career?
Mhm. Getting a master's degree is kind of always my dream. But
Mm-hmm.
because, when I came to US, I started working, started having kids. My life was a little bit overwhelming for a while, with the
Mm-hmm.
babies on hand. Like I had to stay at home for 4 years to take care of my kids until both of them are ready for the kindergarten. I mean, not for the daycare schools.
Mm-hmm.
So literally I stopped my career for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, when I went back to work, actually before my MBA, I took the Global Logistics Specialist certificate in Long Beach too. So
Okay.
that was my
Okay.
first step, try to push myself to get back to school. So,
Okay.
and then back to 2019.
Mm,
And I feel like, hey, you know what? my company is growing so fast. We're being
Hmm.
acquired by the number one logistic company in the world. So I felt like, hey, I want to learn more. I want to kind of like equip myself with better knowledge, with more professional, especially I'm kind of like a really bad with accounting. So
Hmm.
during the 4 years of being the station manager, things I had to be in charge of P&L, I had to read a lot of financial statements.
Hmm.
So I
Right.
have to understand what the numbers mean,
Right.
right? Do I really spend too much? Where I should cut down expenses? Which part I have to pay attention? But that's kind of my weak points. I know that. So after 2018, I was promoted to the corporate. I think that's always kind of bothers me. I always, when I think of this, I always feel like the numbers really is a challenge for me. But I
Still,
feel like
okay.
when my company being acquired, and then I feel like in the future, if we want to be more kind of promoted to a higher position or taking
Hmm.
more responsibilities, those skills become mandatory for me. And
Mm.
then so I've actually some of my neighbors, the professors in Long Beach. So they're like my close friends. So it's okay. Long Beach is closer. Things, all these teachers, like professors are super good. They're very knowledgeable. When I talk to my neighbors, they're like very well, trained to be professor. They've been professor for 10, 20 years.
Right.
Very knowledgeable, very detailed, super good at teaching. So I was thinking instead of choosing UC, hey, Long Beach could be a very good option, closer to my house. And also, of course, compare the price is more affordable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then even to today, I always tell all my friends I had Long Beach is a really good. They have I can't say the bad because I don't have a chance to compare with others, but they
Hmm.
have very practical programs
Hmm.
as an MBA. They really teach you the real skills, which can be easily adapted in your daily work.
I would
So
agree.
yeah, taking MBA program is definitely I think is one of the best decision I've ever made.
Okay.
And they
Okay.
happen to be COVID. So the COVID helped me a lot because I don't have to travel. I can stay at home, save a lot of, traffic hours. So
Yeah.
with those time I can put to my schoolwork.
Okay. All right. Now, you mentioned going back to school during a time of COVID, but clearly you've been working for a while even before then. One of the things that we noticed in our program here at Long Beach in the graduate program is that you know, um, we have a lot of students who have gone straight from undergraduate studies to MBA program and have little to no management experience, but would like to step into management. What type of advice do you have for those who desire to step into leadership roles, but they have no experience in the job market yet?
Sure. I had a lot of classmates when I took the MBA program. Those classmates, they just, I guess, similar as this situation.
Hmm.
They didn't have much management experience or some kind of just a clerk level, right?
Hmm.
But it's never I would say, it's never, it's always worth for you to invest in yourself in education because even just prepare yourself, get ready. Many times, you might not in the management role, but when you learn all this management skills, especially MBA programs, I think, I'm not sure whether you agree with me or not. I feel like we have 50% is what's it called, core classes, which like such as accounting,
Hmm.
finance, those like numbers, statistics. You really have to have that basic skills to understand numbers, to be able to do the evaluation, to be able to do the analysis, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But another half is more like soft skill training, right? Like how to do the leader, how to like marketing information, how to read those messages, how to negotiate, right? Those I consider those as more like a soft skills. So both are very extremely important.
Okay.
So when you're ready, when you get ready with everything you're supposed to have the skills to be a manager, when the opportunity comes, boom, you're ready, right?
Hmm.
Instead of struggling. And of course, like right now, if you're just student directly go to the MBA program, you might feel a little bit struggling, just like
Hmm.
my classmates had, because many concepts when we discuss in the classroom,
Hmm.
it's quite common for me because I used to go through that situation, but it could be really kind of hard to understand or really fresh for the students who never be in that role.
Hmm.
So if you were in that kind of position, I would suggest if it's possible, take some internship opportunities, right? And work some part-time or trying to, get into more discussions with the students, your classmates who had those kind of experience. So can learn many times the mistakes are solutions you don't really have to go through yourself. You can even
Hmm.
listen to other people or read the books to kind of, oh, I even you never personally in that situation, but you read that before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see that.
Mhm.
Because one of the things that I run into is I definitely feel it at times, and again, going back to the students who finish undergrad, go straight to the MBA, I feel like upon graduation, it may be unrealistic in some ways to think that you just step into a leadership role because you don't have that experience under you, and a
Yeah.
company may not feel confident enough to put you in charge of a department. And so you may have book knowledge, but you don't
Hmm.
have that real world experience. So I was wondering or how do you recommend then professionals or these students position themselves to be considered for leadership roles within their organization? Whether there's someone who, they went from undergrad straight to MBA, they don't have experience in the workforce, or someone who has some experience already. At an organization you're dealing with politics, sometimes you may not be able to move up because maybe
Yeah.
management is limited into the
Mhm.
positions you can move up. How do you even navigate that, or how do you
Mhm.
position yourself to be considered for those leadership roles?
Yeah. I think, for my personal experience, I just prove myself. So
Mm.
every project I get, I literally so far at 14 years in Apex, I never fail. So
Mm.
I personally am a very organized person. So everything I keep good records, I keep good communication with all my counterparts. So the most important is like, in order for your managers or even director to see your capability, you have to prove yourself
Okay.
at the beginning. So because many times for MBA is just a paper,
Mm.
right? So many, luckily, some people they do have this kind of talents, high EQ, have empathy, to understand people. But not everybody has this kind of talents. But all the skills, the soft skills can be trained, right?
Mhm.
So many times things you already have the knowledge, you have already learned all these things from the book, try to apply to daily work. And
Mm.
also, even you're not in that position,
Mhm.
always try to think what you would do, what kind of decisions you will make if you are that person. And
Mm.
also very important thing is when your manager asks you to do something, don't just simply say, okay, yes, I'll do it. Think a little bit step forward.
Mm.
Because many times, like me, I'm the director, right?
Mhm.
The team I want to have is always the one who can come back to me and give me better solutions or give me suggestions instead of
Mhm.
just saying, okay, I'll do it. Okay, I'll do it. Because the okay, I will do it kind of person, I think I can trust you. I think I
Mhm.
can just, you can delegate whatever I want you to do. However, sometimes the people who are like in a higher level might
Mhm.
not know completely what's happening, on the desk level. Or
Mhm.
sometimes the person who manage the daily work might have some even better ideas, better solutions.
Mm.
So we really appreciate, the people who like, our subordinates can let us know what is better solutions instead of
Yeah.
everything just okay, I'll follow. So
Okay.
as long as you can dedicate that kind of skill, we'll see it. It's just like compare with two managers I have in my team.
Mm.
One manager, everything comes to me and she'll ask me, oh, Grace, what I can do with this. So I will have discussion and suggest her, right?
Right.
But another manager on the opposite, yeah, she will bring the question to me, but she will prepare one, two, three possible solutions or her
Mm.
suggestions.
Mm.
So think about if you're the manager, which one would you like?
Right.
Right? Of course, I like the second one because they tell me what happened and then they give me whatever the suggestion she thinks could be better and
Right.
then we can make decision. So we can make a quicker, a better decision. So that's the
Mm.
kind of you make your manager feel like you are good support. And gradually you show your skill, you show your quality of work, and you show your accountability. and you show, you're willing to you get involved and willing to be part of the company, why you're not the next manager, right?
Right, right, right. So that can go far. So again, being accountable, proving you can get the job done. And like you're saying, sort of think outside the box. It's not just, oh, I can get it done, but come with some advice, some solution,
Yeah, yeah,
bring
yeah.
something to the table to add value.
Exactly. And the
Hmm.
worst case, the worst conversation I don't want to have is people come if there's something wrong or some errors happened, I don't want to always hear your excuses. Right? Don't tell
Okay.
me, oh, is Tom's fault, is Jack's issue, or he didn't tell me, or she didn't remind me. I don't want to hear those. I want to hear
Mm.
how you're going to fix it, right?
Right,
And how can you minimize the damage? So I
right,
think the conversation skill also helps you a lot.
right. And with you sharing that, that is something that is clearly can be applicable to someone who, like I said, they went to undergrad, went to MBA graduate, don't have a lot of work experience, or the person who's already seasoned. That applies to both,
Hmm.
both. So, okay, all right. Um, so now that you touched on a little, you getting into what you would like or looking for in your team. So then what, when it comes to leadership qualities, um, with your experience, and you touched on things that you like to see um, with your team and saying, okay, when I see these things, this to me shows that they have maybe some abilities to maybe take on some responsibilities of leadership. So in your experience, what are, would you say, the top three qualities that differentiate a successful leader from others?
The top three.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't have to be the three. Maybe
Uh,
what are maybe just in general
okay.
some top qualities. Doesn't have to be a number, but
Hmm.
just maybe what are some?
Sure. I think
Mhm.
being a leader, don't think you have privilege. You
Hmm.
think you're the one who support the team, make the team successful instead of yourself. So don't think being a leader is easier. It's actually harder because not only you become successful, you have to make sure your team is successful because only the success of your team is considered as your success. Success
Right.
is no longer yourself anymore. So in order to be like that, I think very important is like try to learn or nourish your EQ.
Hmm.
You have to have a good listening skills. I'm still learning that because I guess I talk quickly, I think quickly. So many times, even before people finish asking questions or asking for help, I already have this conclusion. But I
Hmm.
know that's my my problem. So I'm learning every day, always trying to put a pause in my brain, on my mouth, and show, hey, stop. I constantly
Hmm.
remind myself, stop.
Hmm.
Let her finish first.
Hmm.
So then the listening skill you can train, absolutely can train. I was really bad at the beginning, but now I'm getting there,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And also, the empathy, try to
Right.
understand people's situation because try to put yourself in their shoe. Sometimes be flexible. Like one of
Right.
my manager reports to me, she lives really far. She lives in Ontario, but before COVID, she had to drive to Rancho Dominguez to work, Long Beach to work.
Oh,
It's like 1.5 hours drive. Hopefully
yeah.
there's no much traffic. So I'm trying to. I said, you know what? I offer you flexible working hours as long as you finish your project on time. I'm good with you. Of
Hmm.
course, depends on different employees you have, right?
Right.
And also, try to create this healthy and trustworthy working environment. The culture is extremely important for you to become a successful leader because
Okay.
maybe you can't control the whole company, like whole corporate, because it's huge. Maybe
Right.
it's not even under your control, but
Right.
create that healthy culture within your team. Especially, you have to build up that trust environment. If your
Hmm.
team doesn't trust you, you will never become successful. You can't rely on them to work for you. That's
Right.
extremely important. So the culture, your EQ, your all this like empathy, listening skills, I think will be the number one important to be a good leader.
Right.
And number two is you have to be very humble.
Hmm. Okay.
So just recently I realized in my company we have one kind of like a VP,
Hmm.
and he's so proud of his like 50 years of logistics experience. So every time he told people, "Oh, I know everything. I'm better
Mm,
than everybody here."
mm,
And Steve Jobs is my hero. So I
mm,
read almost all his books.
mm,
And I remember he said, what's it called? Stay hungry, stay full, right?
yeah.
But back then I couldn't really understand the meaning of that. I just feel like, oh, those celebrities try to show how special they are, right? But when I listened to my VP's, conversation, I didn't say anything. But just in
Mm,
my mind, suddenly, I'm glad. I think I get this insight. Suddenly, this stay hungry, stay full pop up in my mind. I'm thinking a good leader really have to open their eyes. Do not think you're the best. Never
mm,
think, you know, I always make the best decision. Open
mhm,
yourself and then let the information be able to flow into you. And then you always continue learning and continue keep yourself involved with the new trend. And then it benefits your team, benefits yourself too.
okay.
Yeah. And
And,
I
and
think the last,
that's
yeah,
I was gonna say that sounds like it can be scary for some people because stepping into the leadership position, I think there are many people who feel that they have to show that they know everything or on top of it because they feel the opposite. If I don't do that, my team won't trust me. So I
actually it's
have to.
wrong. Yeah, it's wrong.
Mm, mm,
No one knows everything. Just remember this. That's why learning never stops from school. Learning is a lifelong thing. As long as you breathe, you learn. You learn every
mm,
day. So I think that's why Steve Jobs is such a great person, such a great, innovation person. It's just because if he thinks stay in his position, right? He's almost top of the world, and he still can think like stay hungry, stay full. Think about
mm,
how innovative he could be, right?
mhm,
Nothing can stop him. So
mm.
I think being a leader, if you can be humble yourself, and you will get more respect from your team,
Right. So the
right?
culture, developing the culture, being humble, putting yourself in your teammates' shoes,
Yes,
being able to listen, having your eyes open to seeing, to be aware of what's going on with your team.
yes. I think
Okay.
the last thing also very important. If there are a lot of qualities, okay, but last thing I would like to mention here
Yeah.
is try to be fair. Because
Mm,
and I know, it's kind of like weird for adults to talk about fairness, right? There's no really 100% fairness in this world, it doesn't exist.
yeah.
But at least in your team, doesn't matter big or small, try to evaluate people based on their performance. Do not involve too much with your personal feelings. Because some people are just good at, like making friends with you or trying to, be close with you. And also very important, the higher position you go to,
Mm,
less friends you will have in the company.
mm, mm,
I'm not sure
mm,
whether you agree with me. This is how I feel. The
mm.
the more responsibilities you have, you can make friends in the
Yeah.
office.
It's harder.
Because
Right.
other people, other team members will consider you have your personal preference. You try to
Mm,
avoid that as much as possible. When I was just an import manager, I
mm,
can freely, go out with my team to have lunch, hang out, have fun. But when I
mm-hmm.
became the station manager, I don't want to get too close with my import team because I came from import team. I don't want export team or warehouse team or sales team to feel like, hey, Grace always prefer the import team,
Right.
right? So when I was promoted to the corporate, I literally can't have any preference with any local teams because
Mm,
other office will think, hey, Grace always have special favor. So that will definitely kind of like decrease your credibility.
yeah. And that's a good segue into I think what you said is so important. I wanted to sort of also touch on, and you're mentioning here, what are some of the challenges or the stresses of holding a leadership role? And I asked that because I commonly have students come to me during meetings and say, I want to get into management, I want to step into leadership, I want to go into management. And sometimes I don't know if they really think about what are the stresses, whether it's having, the companies in the growth phase and where they fit in that cycle,
Mhm.
hitting targets, having to. There's so many things, whether it's reprimand people or what happens if a project doesn't if a project fails or doesn't execute
Oh yeah.
successfully. So I'm curious, what are some of the challenges and stresses of holding a leadership role, and what should they should give thought to, and how do you manage that?
Taking the leadership role, you really have the gut because it's not easy. Because honestly, working any project you work on is not that hard comparing with leading a team.
Mm,
Because working with people, I mean, at least for myself, all these years of working in the company in the business world is the hardest part because everybody's different, everybody has their own opinions, and it's really hard for people to trust you and to follow you. A good leader, I heard there was like a story that they said the good leader is when the big ship sinks, your team willing to jump off the ship and get into your small boat to go with you. So that's a
mm,
good leadership. That's how much trust your team has. But it's very
mm,
hard to build up those kind of trust. It takes time, but don't feel like oh it's hard. It's not. It's very possible, but it takes time. Like my team,
mm,
I work with 4 people directly report to me at this moment,
mm.
and 2 of them I work with them more than 10 years.
Wow.
So
Okay.
literally 3 of us, we don't even have to verbally say something, even just rolling our eyes. They already know what to do. That kind of trust, that kind of relationship. It
Mm-hmm.
takes time, but that's why I said managing conflicts, especially daily conflicts within the team, with your counterparts, other teams in the company. It's definitely the challenge. Holding this leadership because people are looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
Managers can say, "Oh, talk to my boss," right? And
Mm-hmm.
her boss is you. You have to say yes or no, or agree or disagree. So this kind of daily conflicts, and you don't want to defeat your team, especially when your team had conflict with other teams. You have to be the mediocre in. I mean, what's it called?
It's like the almost like the middle person, or the
Yeah,
one who
middle
yeah.
person to kind of like calm down both ends and try to
Right.
see what is the best solution for both and what's the best can do to benefit the company. And also a lot of times, as the manager, doesn't mean you're at the top. You might most of the time you're in the middle. So the
Yes. Yes.
daily
Yes.
challenge, I think another one challenge is like sometimes your upper manager wants you to do something, but
Yes.
your the lower level doesn't want to do it. They're strongly
Right.
against it, but you're in the middle. How would you fix that?
Yeah.
It takes a lot of wisdom, I would say. You
Yeah.
need wisdom to manage those kind of situations.
Yeah. And even going back to touching on what you said in regards to once you start moving up into um, higher level positions and not being able to be as friendly, maybe with your coworkers,
Yeah.
maybe subordinates.
Mhm.
I can imagine uh, that's also, as you're mentioning, it's the challenges can be compounded because, like you said, it could be upper management wants you to implement things that they don't like, which means they may be upset with you,
Yeah,
right? So,
exactly.
and if they're upset with you, again, that goes into if they're willing to follow, or it gets into how the culture, the dynamics of the team. So those sound like other challenges as well, stepping
Yeah.
into a leadership position.
Yes.
Do you have any strategies, or do you have your own methods in how you're able to deal with being in such a situation as
Mm.
a leader and still being
Uh,
effective?
yeah.
You know?
So I think what I did, especially when my team had conflicts with other teams, when I'll put all these parties into one conversation instead
Mm,
of talking to A, after that talking to B. So try to be the judge. Don't put yourself into this conflict.
mhm,
Treat yourself as a judge, right? And
mhm,
bring all these parties into the call and try to see what is the fact.
mhm,
Try not to talk anything behind the other party. Say, oh,
mhm,
he's wrong, you do it right. And then you talk to other parties, say, hey, he's wrong. And then no, put all these parties together. So because many conflicts, it's not really, there's a reason behind it.
mhm,
Actually, most people just try to make this project better or try to make the company better. Just people have
mhm.
different opinions. It's not really some kind of, completely wrong completely different opinions. So
Hmm.
when you put them together, they talk to each other, and then you as a judge try to be the, kind of like try to settle the conflicts instead of escalate this conflict. So I
Yeah.
think that's could be a idea.
Yeah. And it sounds like a lot of what you're touching on, these don't sound like things you learn in the classroom, unless I'm wrong. Do you
Mm.
study this in through the MBA course or with
No,
leadership? It's like,
that's why, many times I feel like MBA just start. Don't think
hmm,
after the MBA you graduate, you graduate with straight A with as the best student, but doesn't mean you are ready to take the leadership role. Don't expect it because in real life is many situations not that easy as written in the book.
okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, so thank you for sharing that. And I sort of want to continue on with challenges or might be seen as challenges. Okay, aside from having to deal with, you know, upper management has, demands upon you, which
Mhm.
you then have to pass on to your team. How do you manage that? And on top of that, as a woman, being a mother, balancing a marriage, raising children, the hours, what type of hours do you work? Like, what is your experience with the hours that you work, and how does all that added into affect you personally? How does it affect maybe your position as a manager, or does it? How do you deal with that?
This is a very hard question because, balancing work and life is this is a constant topic. You really have to seriously think about it all the time if you're taking the leadership role. Because once you become leader, you have more responsibilities. You many times have to travel. Many times you have, long meetings. Just like, almost I can't say every day, but Monday to Thursday, most of the those days, I will have morning meetings with my European regions and nighttime meeting with my Asian regions. So you can't avoid it. So
Hmm.
the most important thing is you have to get a kind of get agreement with your partner at home,
Hmm.
right? So they have to understand. Sometimes when I get really busy, when the project becomes really, heat, I sometimes have to work like 11, 12 at midnight
Hmm.
because something
Hmm.
has to be done on that day. Otherwise, it'll be delayed.
Hmm.
And literally I have my own room in my house. Like
Hmm.
right now I'm staying in.
Hmm.
I can close my door. Basically I try not to disturb other people. And but
Hmm.
sometimes it's very hard, especially during COVID time.
Right.
Everybody stays at home. But luckily, my husband is very supportive and very considerate, and he knows kind of the nature of my business. So most of the time, he literally took care of the like sending the kids to school, pick them up, even cooking dinner. Sometimes he will take care of it instead of waiting for me to prepare the dinner for the family. Yeah,
Okay.
he's very supportive. And
Yeah.
also my kids also learn because he sees the nature of my business and my work. And
Hmm.
they learn, like, they will tell other people, oh, don't bother mommy. She's in the meeting right now. So
Right.
it's kind of like it's a long-term battle because
Hmm.
many times I feel kind of like a guilty, because
Hmm.
I was not like other moms can take the kids to school, talk to
Hmm.
other moms, chat, and then prepare the delicious food for them. I really
Hmm.
didn't have that much time. But I think within family, the quality is more important than quantity.
Hmm.
So my kids never really complain because every time when they need me, I'm there. And
Hmm.
I will commit my time with them and try to help as much as I can. Also, by the way, just now you mentioned about the benefit of taking MBA program.
Yeah.
I really have to say, besides my work, I can easily see the statements, I can understand the problems. I can quickly, especially with the statistics. I know statistics for most MBA students are hard, but
Hmm.
statistics, I think so far after I graduated from that program, statistics is the most helpful tool. Everything I learned from the class
Hmm.
and help me do the analysis myself. Sometimes I don't really remember everything,
Hmm.
but at least I can use the same language to communicate with my data analysis. So they can't really easily trick me and say, hey, I'm done. No, no, no,
Yeah.
I need more data on that. Right? And
Yeah.
also back to the family, because of the MBA program I learned, I was able to help my kids on his
Mm,
college application last year.
mm,
Serious, without the MBA program, I don't think I would feel comfortable to add in his essay, to kind of guide him to do the brainstorming with him. So that's
right.
a side benefit of taking the MBA program.
Yeah. And it sounds like it's definitely it's been a journey. I remember in our conversation before you were saying that sometimes you would I think you were saying how you would fly to overseas to Asia and then maybe go for a week and have to come back. Like even your flight, your schedule was extremely demanding.
Mm.
So I think even that can wear on a family or it can be hard.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Actually, it's a good training. There's nothing impossible as long as you manage your time well. So, like you mentioned, before COVID, I literally had to travel every 2 weeks. And then, like almost a week, literally 2 weeks of the month, I'm not home. And
Mm.
then sometimes I have to travel overseas. So, if my kids want to talk to me or something really serious need to discuss with me, what they do is they'll make appointment with me. It
Oh
sounds so
wow.
sounds so weird, right? But they're used to it. So
Okay.
because I told them if I'm busy, I don't have time to dedicate, to talk to you.
Right.
But if you make appointment, I'll make that hour, 2 hours just completely for you. So I can be 100% put my attention on you, help you and understand your concern and then fix it. Instead
Mm.
of you randomly comes in, but I'm busy. Like for example, if my kid comes in now, I can't talk to them, right? I have my
Right.
own responsibility, I have my own agenda. We respect each other. So my kids
Mm.
learned that. So, even today, he's in college today.
Mm.
Yeah, he
Mm.
also
Yeah.
scheduled times. And mommy, do you have time? Like, after 10 p.m. today? I said, sure. So I'll wait for his call.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's
So
just a habit.
yeah, yeah. So staying on that, you know, one of the things that I have seen, particularly again with women, is, women who want to, move up, as they say, the corporate ladder, step into leadership positions,
Mhm.
but they are concerned, they may want to start a family. And they're concerned about if they start a family, that's going to, once the children arrive, the babies arrive, it's too hard to manage both, and they feel that if they have to step out of the workforce for a while, it will negatively affect them when they come back into the workforce. So I want to know what can you speak to that? Like women who have those fears of
Sure.
not sure of like literally like when to have children. Should I have children? If I
Mhm.
do, how do I manage that? It's not to say that men don't have don't have concerns. I mean, I'm a new father, but it's different. I don't have
Of
to
course.
carry the baby, birth the
Yeah,
baby,
yeah, yeah.
so
Exactly.
yeah.
I think, first, if you really like that company, and that means the culture probably is very positive, and then the team works pretty well, you can definitely ask your manager or your employers whether you can have a more flexible working hours. I think
Mm,
that's the first step if you want to continue your position and continue your role in the company, right? Just like I did when I was doing the brokerage, and I had really bad morning sickness for the first 6 months.
mm,
I couldn't bear. And then so my the owner of the company, she literally offered me a flexible working hours. I can only work half of the day, right? And can have more rest at home. And she even offered at the almost to the end of the pregnancy, she even offered me she brought a big, very comfortable sofa from her house.
mm.
And she said, hey, bring your own blanket if you feel tired, because it's normal, like for women to feel sleepy. So she said, if you feel tired, just go take a nap, take a rest. Don't just force yourself sitting in front of the desk. So, this kind of employers, of course, I can't say it happens to everybody.
Yeah, I'm sure
Uh,
there's a lot of people who are going to say, well,
yeah,
you approach because that was a woman. I may have a guy and he's like,
yeah.
you just got to
You know,
show up.
that's why I told you I never complain about my life. I always feel I'm so blessed. I met all these
Mm,
good people.
mm,
So with that kind of employers, you definitely can talk about, any flexible working hours, even today
mm,
working from home, because before COVID, probably it's hard to negotiate this kind of working from home situation.
mm,
After COVID, I think most companies, as long, it's not critical for you to show up in the office, definitely for a period of time, like, company can offer or can compensate on something. right? To
Mm-hmm.
work out a plan. Don't hesitate to ask because
Mm-hmm.
I think most of the companies willing to, work together with you as a plan. Or if
Mm-hmm.
it's the worst case, like what I did, because after my baby was born,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find a good daycare school, but because I was so picky, because every daycare school I went, I felt, oh my God, this is can be my son's place. Oh my God, I can do much better than this. So I was so picky. So I didn't have a choice. So you know what, I just quit. I quit
Mm-hmm.
and then I stayed at home for 4 years, but never feel worried about that 4 years
Mm-hmm.
because first of all, you can continue keep contact with your previous coworker or industry. Today, YouTube, searching online, nothing can stop you from learning. If you still want to go back to your industry after, whatever your planned a year, just continue keep yourself connected. Any seminars, workshop you can do online, keep yourself informed. And
Okay.
then if that, I would say that's also another opportunity for you to rethink your career path. Because
Right.
you can rethink, hey, am I still going back or should I pursue a different career? And maybe something you find is more interesting or is more kind of like fits your future plan. Just take the school. What I did the 4 years when I was at school, I mean at home, every night I went to the community college to study. I
Mm.
studied painting, I studied music, it's kind of like a maybe I was back then I was even thinking just continue the 3D design as a new career instead of going back to logistics.
Right.
So and then now I take that as my hobby. So I do paint when I feel like tired, I do painting.
Mm.
I even start selling my painting now. Yeah, make some good money. So, you know, you never know, never think, oh my God, my life is over if I stay at home. It could be a brand new start. It could be a
Right.
life you never even planned for yourself.
Right. So don't think of having to step out of the workforce to have children
Yes.
as a negative.
Yes. Focus on long-term plan.
Right.
Think about we have at least 60 years, right? Most people, probably easily live
Longer.
through
Yeah.
70, 80, right?
Yeah.
After the kid, even 30, 40, you still have half of your life,
Yeah, that's true.
right?
That's true.
So it's focus on long term.
That's true. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. I wanted to get back to, and I want to be mindful of time because I know you 6:30. We're gonna do like a hard stop around 6:30 for you, or maybe before, because your meeting's at 6:30, right?
Yeah, I have a meeting at 6:30.
Okay, so maybe the last thing I'm going to ask, and then I'm going to open it up for people who have any questions. You mentioned interpersonal skills. Now, in an age where data is the big thing, analytics and AI,
Mhm.
do you see in your company where getting the MBA, one needs to bring these additional some skills in these areas as well, or not really?
This I can't say this is right because this is my personal opinion. No one knows what AI is going to bring or impact in our world, right? It just started. So, but so far, I think talk about leadership because leadership skill is more about human skill, people skill.
Right,
So
right,
you have to deal with people. Honestly, I don't think the AI can be easily trained, to understand this people's emotion accurately or like how we can talk to each other.
right,
So I don't think leadership can be easily trained as a data model for AI to quickly adapt
right,
because
right.
people is still complicated. I don't know. Honest, I can't say that. Maybe tomorrow AI come up with some kind of really crazy things.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, I don't think that quickly. No, I
Yeah,
don't.
this I think that for AI, even this is also I talked to my son because when he tried to pick what major he wants to have,
Mhm.
I think not in order to not be replaced by AI, try to avoid those repetitive work or something
Mm,
can be done with experience.
right,
So if something like people skill, it can be done with experience,
right.
right? I mean, of course, it can be better if you have a lot of experience working with people, but this is very hard to be trained for the
Yes,
computer to learn.
I agree. I totally agree. I
Yeah.
agree. All right. So, at 6:22, I would love to open up if for questions for anyone who has any questions. Please feel free to open up your microphone Here's a time that you get to ask a question, unless everyone's like, no, you covered everything. They're just quiet. They're just quiet. Any questions?
Yeah.
Please
Which
go
of my
ahead.
answers can be helpful.
Okay.
It's just my personal experience.
Yeah. Go for it, Adrian.
Hi there.
Hi.
I am in like middle management right now, and I'm going through the MBA program, and I'm pretty confident that upper management sees that. Like the C-suite is like, oh, Adrian's doing great, right? And I feel like I'm getting close to becoming a regional manager, which is great. I'm really excited about it. I have a lot of conversations with, I have like a mentorship program with the vice president. We talk about it a lot. But what
Mhm.
I'm nervous about is kind of feeling that at one point I will kind of be stuck in operations, right? And I won't ever get to that next point of going into corporate, right?
Mhm.
So, with your point about always kind of being open to tasks and new ideas and saying, yes, I can help, yes, I will do this, how would you be able to leverage your skills? Like, so that way upper management can say, oh, yeah, Adrian, he's doing all these things.
It's
He's
ready.
invited
Mhm.
to the C suite now, right? Like, and I know it's going to be a while. I'm not saying it's going to be the next 5 years. It's going to be like 10, 15 years, right?
Mhm.
But like, what does that process look like of moving out of the operations and into corporate?
Yeah, I think two things. First of all, right now you're taking MBA programs, so your C-suite definitely sees your motivation. And management always want to promote the people, especially internally, the ones who has the motivation, who willing to do better. So that's already proved to your management team, hey, I'm that candidate, right? And number two, most important is you don't want to be like reactive. You want to be more proactive if you want to have that role. So of course, if there's any opening from the HR, try to apply for it. And then if there's not opening, you can try to, during the like break time or any chance you have time, meeting with the management, try to propose yourself. Try to say, hey, is there anything I can help? Or just even propose yourselves, hey, my MBA is focusing on this area. I'm very interested in this. I'd like to help the company, to kind of attribute my knowledge and try to offer it. Just like, 3 years ago, my company just had this sustainability department. And my MBA focusing on sustainability. So I talked to the COO. I said, hey, things we had this new department. Even I know I'm not going to move to that department, but because my MBA focus on this area, I'm very interested and I learn a lot of case, I have some experience from the book and I want to apply my knowledge to the real life. So I did, participate some projects and try to help on the sustainability programs. And then, I proved myself. Of course, I didn't move to that department because basically their pay is less than my department, so I didn't move. But at least I proved to the management that hey, I have this motivation. I'm ready to take more responsibilities. Yeah,
All right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Good question. Good question. Thank you, Adrian. Anyone else? Anyone, any other questions? I think everyone is just silent. Okay, they're taking it all in.
Much
They're taking,
information today.
yeah, they're taking it in. They're taking in. Okay, so looks like we don't have okay, Elizabeth. All right, Elizabeth, and I think maybe we'll make this the last question so that way Grace will be able to get to her next meeting. Please, Elizabeth, you can open up your microphone and ask.
Yes, thank you, and good evening. I just wanted to maybe pick Grace's brain a little bit and take up on the fact that I'm trying to get into the supply chain more or less because I've been in logistics, particularly in transportation, and it's been extremely challenging to even get an entry level position because if they don't see supply chain on the resume, if they don't see that I've had, and even though they know I'm an MBA candidate, it's just really tough. So I just wanted to get her some feedback from her as far as what can someone do with a 10-year experience in logistics with an MBA, and then there's all these really big players in the logistics freight forwarding.
Mhm.
that they just, if you haven't had it, you can't even get an interview. So what are your suggestions maybe to someone like me
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, I think, I'm in the logistics side. So you're trying to go to the supply chain side?
Yeah, but I like to be, supply chain in general, but I also like to know more about like the freight forwarding or some of the import export, and they won't even talk to me. I've tried.
Oh,
I've been unemployed for almost a year,
oh, okay.
and I've
Actually,
had temporary assignments, but that's what they want to see. They just want to see NVCOCC and Tableau. They want to see SQL. And I'm like, I'm in the MBA. I'm seeing those, but
mm,
yeah.
I think probably just start from 2023 to 2024, this 2 years, the economy is not that good. So many companies don't have openings. Even my company, we used to hire like all the time, like key account managers or even like desk levels. But I think this year, I think after May, we already phrased. So I think the economy this is kind of a special time. I don't know which year you're in MBA, if it just started, maybe just wait till you graduate and hopefully the market can get a little bit warmer. But otherwise, try to maybe stay connected, with the people in this industry, or even try to go to LinkedIn to connect with the like alumni or the company you're interested in, follow them. And then hopefully, you can connect with some internal employees and then they can referral. Then that might be easier for you to get that position. Because I know a lot of my friends' kids, they graduated last year, and even they graduated from computer science or some like an engineer major. It's very hard for them to get their dream job. Or sometimes their pay got cut too. Or another suggestion is like, if you don't mind, try to maybe start with the entry level instead of looking for a really like the job, the position you kind of dream of. Get in first, because many companies is kind of a little bit easier for you to get into the entry level. But after that, you prove yourself, you show your capability, you show your accountability, and then you will have big chances to get promoted.
Yeah,
Because internal promotion is much easier.
yeah, I'd agree. And I would
Yeah.
say,
Thank you.
and Elizabeth, I'd
Okay.
also say if you can, I would say definitely make an appointment with me because I would love to have a conversation with you about that. Maybe I can share with you some things I can add to what Grace has shared to help you into getting in the door with that. So please do make an appointment with me and we can have that
Yeah.
conversation.
I think Long Beach has a very good job referral program, right?
I think Michelle and I undergraduate, we try to reach out and make contacts with employers.
Yeah.
So definitely the good thing that they have as MBA students is they have the graduate business career services where other graduate programs at the college, they don't have this. So this group is the only group that has this resource where they
Mm,
have where we will go and bring in guest speakers like this to specifically for this group.
mm,
So they're taking advantage of it by coming to this event. So that's why I'm telling Elizabeth, you can make an appointment with me and we can specifically work on that challenge that you're facing and come up hopefully with some solutions that can help you open some doors.
Awesome. Thank you very much to both. Thank you.
All right. I know it's like 6:30. I know you have like a meeting. I just wanted to take the time again to thank you, Grace, for sharing, taking your time, giving back to the community. Thank you for everyone for participating. This going to be recorded. I'll send everyone the recording as well as a survey link. We always ask for, feedback so that we can improve. But again, Grace, thank you so much. And I want to say stay in touch. You're always in touch with the community. She's
Yeah.
part of the MBA Advisory Board.
Mm,
So thank you. And everyone, please have a good evening.
yeah. It's my pleasure. Hopefully my advice can help.
I think it
Okay. Have
has,
a good
hopefully.
evening. Bye.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.